We continue from where we left off. Before that, just a quick recap. We discussed about the string functions, and also we discussed about the relationships. Relationship, lookup value, related table, and cross filter and use relationship. Lookup value, using lookup value, you can do a lookup on other table to get some value to your current table. In the case of lookup value function, you don't have to have a relationship established between the tables. Somehow I forgot to tell you this difference. Okay, so in the case of lookup value function, the relationship, you don't have to have the relationship. You don't have to create the relationship between the tables. Without relationship itself, lookup value can go and fetch the or do the lookup on the target table. Okay, and related function is helpful in terms of basically the related function works, it draws the value from one to many, same as lookup value, but in the case of related function you need to make sure that the relationships, the data model relationship has been created, otherwise it will not work. And also the related function accepts the scalar value. What do you mean by scalar value? Single value or column name. Okay. So what is related table? Related table, it draws the value from many to one side. And I've shown you yesterday in the price table how to update the stock value from the many side. Right. So many side take all the products, the total number of transactions and the corresponding values, and then update it here. Okay, update on the target table. So related table also we can use it to do a lookup on the one side table. Okay, so sorry, do a lookup on the many side table and then update the one table, like single table. Okay, or the lookup table. In the related table, the many table will be using it to do a lookup. We will be using the many side table as a lookup table. Okay, and then we discussed about cross filter. Cross filter, using this function we can programmatically change the direction of the relationship. So usually we establish the relationship between the dimension table to the fact table. There are situations you have to enable bidirectional relationship. So why do you need to enable bidirectional relationship? Because it helps you to apply the filter on both sides. We have looked at the product and date dimension tables and also fact table, right? So in that case we enable the bidirectional relationship between the product dimension and the fact table as both, right? So bidirectional relationship we enable using both, right? By setting the option both in the cross filter function. The next one is relationship. To activate the inactive relationship temporarily in order to establish the relationship with the fact table. For example, the date table, we can we can use the date table as the role playing dimension. But as per the Power BI, we cannot establish more than one active relationship between the same tables, right? So in that case, you can have only one active relationship from one dimension table to fact table or between two tables. If you wanted to have, but practically we cannot rely on a single active relationship because visuals, right? If you want to do slicing and dicing with different dimensions, right, you need to create multiple inactive relationship. So here we have inactive, we can create inactive relationship, and to activate the inactive relationship we can use this function use relationship. So this can temporarily, right, it will activate your inactive relationship. And also we have seen how to apply what is the application of this one, related, a single value that is related to the current row. This is similar to the lookup value function Excel. but the most of the thing, right, the related can only draw value from one to one or one side to the many side. Yeah, one to one also you can use it. And the related table, it accepts the table. So whereas here the input is column name or scalar value. Okay, here more than one column, right? So related table. So here also you need to establish, it requires a relationship between the tables, and it can draw value from any side to the one side. Cross filter, we have seen it, returns no value. So this is what, see, we have enabled the bidirectional relationship between these two tables, right? So if I enable bidirectional relationship between these two by enabling the option both in the cross filter function, we can apply the filter in both the direction. Okay, both the direction. So that's why we call it a bidirectional relationship. Okay, so in the yesterday's example, right, in the yesterday we have used this function. I demonstrated you how to enable this one and what is the advantage of this. For example, if you want to count the number of products year wise, right, so we want to find out the number of products by year. So what happens, you don't have the direct relationship between these two tables. The only way out is you need to enable the cross filter in both direction. Only when you have the relationship, direct relationship, you can get the value, but you cannot establish because there are no common column between these two tables. You cannot establish a relationship. Hence, you will have, the only way out is you need to enable cross filter direction in both option. Okay, so the bidirectional relationship, you need to enable it. Okay, so in that case what will happen is since the many side can the direction of the many side will be facing the the product table, and the product table already it is, the direction is facing towards this table, right? So when you filter a product based on specific year or specific transaction order, what will happen is that order will automatically have the year, right? Year. So in that case what will happen is the product with the relevant days, right, is also available here. So based on which you can filter the product by year by the product by year and the number of transactions for all the products, right? So you can do it, you can do group by with that. So that's what we have seen it. So if you don't enable that one, we used to get this one. After we enable this one, we are able to filter. After you established the direction in both, we are able to, so we could see that it was filtering correctly, right? So that's what we have seen it yesterday. And use relationship also returns no value, but you need to give the column 1 and column 2. Okay, in the use relationship we need to specify the this one, the column names, right? Which column you want to use that as a relationship. Okay, so using which use relationship, how it helps you. Can someone tell me what is the advantage of use relationship? Okay, to enable the inactive relationship to active relationship, it is fine. So what is the other important advantage of use relationship? So here column 1, what is the column 1 and column name 2? Column 1, for example, in the fact table, we have something called ship date key. This is what I discussed long back. Ship date key, and then the date table, we have date key. By creating a inactive relationship between these two, we should be able to filter the sales amount by shipment date. And also since we already have the active relationship between the date key in your dim date table to your fact table's order date key, you can filter the you can filter the sales amount by order date. You can combine these two also in a single table in your visualization. Okay, so that is how it is very much helpful. And next we are ready to discuss about aggregation functions. Today we'll continue with these functions, sum x. These are very basic functions, but when it comes to uh, Power BI, lot of functions they've given it. Okay, so you need to understand the difference between one function to another function, so that it will be very much helpful when you use them in real time scenario. Okay, so sum, it is a very straightforward one, right? So you can, for example, if you want to create a measure for the sales amount, right? So what you can sum of sales amount, create a measure with this one. So already we have demonstrated, right? So how to create a measure, and in the measure also we created sum of sales amount. You remember in the Adventure Works data set I used it. With that we have seen it. We created a measure. So once you create a measure, you can use it in a calculate function. You don't have to again you don't have to again compute the, or you don't have to compute the sum on the same table. You can reuse the same measure across various scenarios. Next one is SumX. What is SumX? The definition, okay, even in the case of sum, the input value is scalar value. What do you mean by scalar? Single value. Scalar means single value. So here column name only you can specify it. Like in related function, scalar value. In related table, as the name suggests, we are supposed to use the input as a table name. Whereas here also the same thing. Okay. In the case of sum, scalar function, and in the case of SumX, the first argument is supposed to be table name. So it is an iterator function. It operates on multiple columns in a table. Okay. So how does it works? It works by running the or executing the or expression row by row, and it stores the result of that into a temporary memory. Okay. So this is the example for this SumX. This is my table name. First argument is table name. Next one is expression. So expression can be formula or some other column also. Okay. So here we are subtracting this one in order to find out the margin. Here in this case what happens is it iterates each and every row by subtracting the product cost from sales amount. For each row it subtracts this and then it applies the sum function. So what exactly the difference between sum and SumX expression? What exactly the SumX is the sum of an expression, but sum is just summarizing values of a single column. That is the difference between these two. Let me just
Recording in progress.
see, for example, so this is my data set. Okay, here I have unit sold price. If you multiply these two, let's say you are using SumX function. The SumX function, you have used units. You have used an expression like a unit sold into price. What happens is it iteratively evaluates or executes this expression, and then it generates the total sales value. It computes the total sales value for each and every row, and then it computes the total. So it calculates the expression one row at a time and stores the output in temporary memory. This is what you need to remember it. Once the sum of all values has been computed, the temporary memory will be released. Okay, so that is the simple thing you need to remember it. So in this case I have used something called all function. The all is a function that passes the entire table. In our case it is I'm using sales by customer table. Irrespective of the filter context, it computes the total value. So now we will see how the SumX, how we can use SumX function, and what is all function. Okay, and how all function is very much helpful. The all function is helpful in terms of changing the filter context. Okay, So now I'll just go here, and I'll just show you here. It's already there. In the interest of time, already I put it everything so that we can save the typing time and syntax mistakes and all. Okay. Look here, I just wanted to show you the file name here. Where is the file name? Sales by customer.c. This is what the file that I'm using it. Okay, this is the file. Okay, and ignore these things. Okay, and this is what the file I have it. The customer's name, unit sold, sales, and active. Here, what we are going to do is I have created a function called SumX, not SumX. Okay, sales by customer. See here, I created a table. Okay, I'll just create another table to show you this one quickly. This is my table already imported. What I do is here I'm going to, here I have the customer's name and the unit sold, and the next one is I have price here. That's all. I don't have anything else in this table. Okay, it is not actually price. One second, let me just go here, and I have used something, sales, right? Yeah, sales, correct. Fine. So we got the sales value. The sales value is 31949. Okay, and we need to find out the total sales for this one. What is total sales here? Let me just go and check. I don't know how. Oh, yeah, so here you just think, okay, this is nothing but the multiplication of these two things, unit sold and price. Okay, for that I have used a SumX measure. I have used a SumX measure. Okay, for example, if I go here, yesterday, that is what I did it. So here we have the column here, right? So here I can use the row context. Unit sold into sales. Let's assume that this is the total sales by row, okay, or sales amount. Okay, you just think this is a price. Okay, price. Okay, unit sold into price, you get the sales. You just think that way. Okay, don't think this sales, this is a price. Okay, or just I'll rename it. Okay, if I rename it, some confusion will come. Okay, so unit sold into price, you got this value. But how I got this one? I can use this one. So can I use calculated column? This is called your calculated column. So try to avoid calculated columns as intermediate calculations for a measure. Okay, if you have to create a measure based on the result of a product made by row, right? So row by row, better we can define a measure. Okay, instead of using a calculated column, we can use a measure. So what will happen is you need to compute this value, and then you need, so right, so for this let's say this is a unit sold into price, the sales amount for each and every row, and also you need to create another table, or you need to do sum on all these things, right? You need to do sum on all the things. Instead, what we will do is we will create a measure. So here I have created already the measure by the name of total sales. I'll just go and check what is total sales here. Total sales, I already changed it. Okay, total sales is something like this. Okay, this total sales was SumX of the first argument is your tail sales by customer, comma, units sold into the sales. In our case, sales is nothing but the price. Okay, you just think that way. So this is a measure. Okay, I'm creating a measure here. Instead of creating a calculated column, I'm going to create a measure. Okay, now you need to notice very carefully. Look here, I created another table. I just just dragged and dropped. See, if I move the total sales here, what is happening here? My total sales is my measure as 360466. Okay, this is what my total sales. Okay, now what happens is, this is my newly created table. If I drag and drop this total sales here, if I don't have any column here, listen very carefully. I don't have any columns in this table. Simply when I dragged and dropped the total sales measure here, it shows the total value here. But when I dragged and dropped the same measure inside this table, what happened here? What happened here? The filter context got applied on this thing also, right? The filter context. So Baron and what is his total sales? And Chris, what is his? So for each row cell, the corresponding column was evaluated, right? Evaluated it. So Baron. So the filter context was automatically implemented or enabled or activated, right? So this value got splitted like this. Fine. So now I have a need of finding out, so these people are customers, what is the revenue contribution by each customer? How can I see that? So each person's total sales divided by this one will give me the percentage. With that percentage, I can understand which customer has brought in more revenue to my business, or who is the potential customer. With that, we will be able to understand who is the potential customer. So for that, I already created percentage of sales here. Another measure. So here, if I see, this one is already got splitted, but if I wanted to divide each row value by the total value, what will happen? Percentage of sales, right? So already I created a measure called SX. Okay, one second. I think that is the one I'm using it. See, the sum X, right? This is what sum X. In my case, this is the sum X. Sum X sales by, so for each and every row, we computed the total sales, right? And here this is the total value for all this. Sum X, what it did, after it did the product of these two columns, it finally applied the sum on this. But when I dragged and dropped the total sales here, right, this value here, so automatically it splitted the values, right? So in the total here, I did not use any calculated column. Listen very carefully. Okay, this is a measure. Okay, so in the measure, what I did, I'm doing row by row thing, right? But the argument is table. First argument is table. It evaluates the expression row by row. Okay, and then it applied the sum on this. Okay, so if I have to find out the contribution of each and every customer, I have to divide each value by this one. But what happened here is, I cannot take this value and divide by this one, because, for example, if I drag and drop this again, what will happen? So this is what my total says, right? Each row, if I take this value and if I divide by this, I can get the percentage. But the problem is, whenever I drag this one, it applies the filter context. So what is the way out? So what I did, I have used this. I have created another measure, percentage of sales by customer. So I'm going to modify the filter context here. Look here. I have used the total sales, right? SX is nothing but the sum X, and then total sales 1. Okay, this is the one, this is where I did it. So I have created another measure. Okay, total sales 1. Total sales, yeah, this is the one. Total sales 1, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, so here what I'm doing is, instead of using sum x, right, I'm using, so yeah, the mere sum x. Inside this sum x, the first argument, for the first argument I used a function called all function. Okay, all function, and then I'm doing this one. It's all same. Okay, total sales 1. Okay, so what happens here is, okay, now if I drag and drop this, you see what happens. When I drag and drop this, what is happening here? Sorry, 1 second. It is, what happened here? For each row, it created the same value. So now if you want to compute the percentage of contribution by each customer, is very easier, right? 204,104 divided by this one, 84,110 divided by this one, right? It is very easier. So in this case, what I did, I have used a function called all function. The all function, what it does is, it ignores, it disregards the filters, irrespective of the filter context by default enabled, right? It simply ignores all kind of filters. Okay, no matter what filter you use it. For example, I'm going to use an external filter called listen, I'm going to use a slicer here. Where is the slicer? Yeah, this is slicer. Okay. Why it's not coming? Yes, yeah, slicer has come. And here what I'm going to do is, I'm going to drag and drop the customer's name. If I select Baron, this customer, I am applying an external filter on this table. No matter whether it's the external filter or internal filter. This is the internal filter earlier, right? So the total sales is not getting changed. So now you divide the sales by this one, you will get the total. That's the whole idea of this one. Even if you select more than 1%, right? Even if you apply external filter or any internal filter, nothing can affect this one. It simply disregard all the filters on this table. So how to clear the filter? So this one, if you select this one will clear everything. Okay, now I got this value. I am good to go ahead with. Already I have a measure called total sales divided by total sales 1. So that can give me this one, right? So I am going to divide this value by this value. So I have created two different measures. So that is what I did it here. All function is very much helpful in that kind of scenario. So Sx is nothing but this value. Okay, I just renamed this one here. Okay, so this is nothing but the Sx. Okay, and total sales 1. So this is the where I have used the all function. All function, I informed Power BI, hey, ignore all filters on this table. Okay, even if I create an external filter and if I try to filter it, disregard the filter on this one. That's it. So percentage of sales by computer, here I just drag and drop this one. See here, it is calculated. So now I don't need this one because my business people, they don't know, they'll be asking what is this, right? So if according to them it is not required, but for us it is required. This is for the BI architect or developers. So now we are all set. Now you understood SumX function and you understood the all function, okay, and also the internals of SumX function. First it evaluates the expression and then stores that value temporarily into memory, and finally it applies a sum on all these things. Okay, and the next thing is calculated column. But if I create a calculated column using SUMX, what will happen? So yesterday we have seen it, right? So here, instead of doing like this, if I use SUMX, what will happen? SUMX, if I use it here, sorry, you need to specify the table name as the argument here, right? First one is sales by customer. What happens is, it iterates this table because you have given this one, right? It iterates this table by computing all the things, and finally it applies the sum, and that sum value is copied to each and every row of this table is called this column, right? So here you are not supposed to use SUMX because in the case of calculated column, you don't need to use a table here, right? So in that case, it is pretty clear, you don't have to use it. Simply you can use directly this one. Okay, you can use it directly. And also the calculated column is, try to avoid using the calculated columns unless it is mandatory or unless you have any pressing need. Don't use this one at all, calculated columns for to store your intermediate tables. Better you can use that. So that is the, hope you understood the difference between sum and SUMX. So what is a all? All is a function, it returns a table as output. Okay, that returns a table as a, you need to remember that also. The SUMX is a function that gets the table as input, right? So what is the role of all function? It passes the entire table irrespective of the filter context. It passes the entire table irrespective of the filter context. So that's the reason why the sales by customer table, so it right, it has no filters on it, right? So hence the result is the total value. So for each and every, this is the what is displaying it. Okay, so now you understood. But in Excel we can do it. In Excel, right, we can find out each and every total. So what you can do is this total. So in this column you can go here, this value divided by this value, you can directly, once you set it, you can drag it, right? So it will automatically, but here it is not possible. You have to use all function to get the total value. Next we will proceed with count function. So the count itself, many functions are available. So counts are non-blank values. So blank values are skipped, and in case of any blank values that are skipped, true or false values are not supported. It supports numbers, dates and strings only. Okay, this function is not supported for use in direct query mode. When used in calculated columns, or see, this is another pain. Most of the functions were not supported in direct query mode. Okay, so you need to be very cautious whenever you work with the source system which is of RDBMS. Okay, now let us quickly look at what these functions are in the interest of time, right? So I just put it everything here. Okay, here let's say the same table. We will I have taken the same table. This is the table. Okay, I have used the same table. Here if I wanted to find out the count on the this one, the customer name. Okay, here the count cost here, right? So we will just check whatever they mentioned was correct or not. Okay, customer's name, when I used count on customer's name column, what happens is Baron is 4 and 211. But when you look at this here, Baron customer's name, right? So Baron 1, how many number of times repeated? 4 times. It is correct. Baron is 4 times. Okay, and then Chris is 2 times. Chris appears one. Okay, so earlier I was using another record. I removed it. Okay, for testing purpose I removed it. Chris is appearing 2 times. 2 times, and Larry is appearing 1 time, and other people, right? So this guy is appearing only 1 time, and this guy is appearing. So net on the string column, when we apply this one, look here, we have some blank value here, right? So it shows something 2 here. For a string, it still counts it. Blank value also it counts. So why, how many blank values? And here also blank value is there. You need to be cautious. That's the reason why you need to go to the data window and check. Even if you see, if you have access to the Excel file, don't rely completely on this one. You just go and check it. What happened here? One blank row is there. So if you look here, so 1, 2 blank rows are there in this customers column. So okay, so next one is units sold. In the case of units sold, if I find out the count, units sold, this is the one, right? So 2211 units sold is 10 2 times appears, and 12 2 times, and 15 1 time, right? So 15 1 time, and 6 1, yeah, 6 I remove, yeah, I think so, I removed it, few records. Yeah, this is the correct data. Yeah, so 6 is 1 time. Okay, and units sold, this is the units sold, 2 2 1. Yeah, so this one, right? So 10, and so Baron. Okay, Baron is okay, forget about this total thing, look at this one now. So the 2211, right? So Baron is for Baron. Okay, the here the units, you need to look at it. So the 10 is appearing 2 times, and what is the other thing? And 12 appears 2 times. Okay, and Chris, right? And the next one is it literally goes by the unit sold. Okay, 1 1, and 0 it is not taking into account. See, overall, if you look at this here, and the Excel we could see count 7, but here we can see the count is 6 only. Okay, and for Whipple it is blank, right? It is blank. It when it comes to numeric variable, it ignores the blank count. Okay, look here we don't have any value here except text. For the text type, it considers still the blank values during count, and whereas for the numeric values, so even for the same thing applied for the sales, but here I used null here. Okay, so null here, if we go and see here the sales, we have 3 6 records, sales 2 4 6. It disregarded the null value also, right? So null value also, but actually here I mentioned null explicitly, it disregards. So overall how many? So 6 values, but it considers 0 also. It considers 0 also. That is the reason why we are getting 6 here. And next one is count A. We have a function called count A. See here I just put it here for the sake of understanding the difference. Customer name, 11 records were there. It simply shows the 11 records for the customer name, right? So here all put together 11, right? It is not working for string value. Okay, and when it comes to units sold, it shows 7, and whereas sales it shows 6. Units sold, okay, here I just modified the data and loaded it. It is showing correctly. Okay, and earlier it was 7. Okay, so this is correct only. Okay, this is 6 and this is 6. And active, we have a column called active. So this is a Boolean value. In the case of Boolean value, true, false, also it is not working. Okay, it is also not working. So what do you mean by not working? It simply counts all this all this value and the blank value. Blank and non-blank, it counts in the case of string. So this is also string, and customer name is also string, and for the numeric value it ignores the null and blank values. It's as simple as that. The COUNTA function. Next we have COUNTA function. COUNTA function counts the number of cells in a column that are not empty and null values for numeric values. It simply counts the number of cells in a column that are not empty and null values for numeric values. This function is not supported there. Okay, so count A is also takes the scalar value here. Okay, so when I use the count A, it is same as my count 11 11, and here also 6, here also 6. Okay, and here also 6, here also 6. Here if you see the units sold, so in this case 3 and 6 values are there, right? 6 values and 7 values. Look here, as per this data 7 values are there in the units sold. That's why I mentioned 7 here. It ignored the blank values even in the case of count A. So in the case of sales, same thing, and active in this column, more or less these two are same only. Okay, count A and count function. Then what exactly the difference between these two? I don't see much of the difference between these two. Probably we can include some date column. Try with the date column. So it supports as per this, right? Even count, it supports dates, numbers and strings only, but it is not supporting the strings as per the documentation. They say though they mention strings, right? It is not supporting string in count and as well as in COUNTA also. And next function is COUNTX. So so here whenever you use the ITT function, most of the time it will be like your input will be a table. So in this case the table contains the rows to be counted. So this table will have the rows that needs to be counted. So the expression as usual, this one will get executed based on the formula whatever you used it. So look at here, in this case filter sales by customer, and this is the expression units sold is greater than 8, and then what you do, right? So units are greater than 8, and then you return this value. Okay, counts the number of that contain non-blank value. Here also it evaluates a non-blank value when evaluating an expression over a table. Here it is different. Okay, so when you use when you apply this COUNTX, what happens is because we are using filtering condition, right? After you excluded the greater than 8, this row and this row and greater than 8, right? So only you are left with only this many number of rows after you, but still the blank value is there, right? Still the blank value is there. And here when I use for active, it considers only the, in this case, right, it considers only the non-blank value, and for customers also it consider only the non-blank value. So because the Baron and the Whipple, if you exclude it within this data set and this blank, right? So how many we have? 7. Of these 7, if you exclude 1 2, so these two, right? So forget about this one. I think this is the one we need to remove it. Okay, so when you use greater than 8, automatically it gets applied on, sorry, I'm looking at the customers, right? Customers, the condition is greater than 8, right? So greater than 8 is here you have 6 7. Of these 7 you have 2 blanks. So sorry, here and here, right? So you have 2 blanks. So 5 customers are the non-blank values, basically non-blank values. Even in the case of units sold, non-blank values, it excludes the non-blank values, and obviously you can see only 5 values. And in the case of sales, we can see only 4 values. So it excludes blank as well as the null values. Okay, in the case of count x. So that is the difference between count a and count x, and we have something called count ax. So in this case it is 554, but here unit sold, here the I think same expression I used it, but in this case unit sold is 5, and with this data. Okay, and the customer's name is 5 only after excluding the blank value. Okay, but sales is 4. Yeah, simply you just exclude the blank values, but customer's name is 5, because here the count x, right? Here also I've used the same expression. So count x is nothing but count x, the expression what I used was greater than 8. This is what the condition that I used, unit sold. Even in the case of, so yeah, this is what the condition, right? Sorry. So count x, count, the same expression I used it here also. So why the unit 4 here and 5 here, unit sold? There is a mistake from my null. Okay, it considers count a. Let me just validate count ax. Okay, count ax. I just drag and drop with the new data and see what happens here. Here we have more than 8, right? So here we have 3, 1, 1, 5 only is there. Yes. So this count ax on which column? Sales column. Okay, sales column we have 5 non-null values. So in the sales column we have 4, 5. It takes into account of null also, right? Even after applying this condition, it takes into account of the null values also. Okay, that is one thing here, and probably you can test by putting null here. See, in this case 5, right? Unit sold 5, and sales, it ignores the blank, but it considers null also here. Okay, and that is one problem here. And active, it's not a problem, so probably some other reason they would have left it. And 5 is for active. Active is already, we have 5 records here, 5 values, hence it is 5. Everything is fine. When it comes to count ax, it considers null also. That's what we have seen it here. And anyhow we will go and check the same data here also. Okay, so here greater than 8, right? Unit sold is greater than 8. So that means I will have to remove this one. Probably I can add a filter. Greater than 8 is this one, right? 10, 12, 15. Yeah, so in this case, oh, correct. So it's not taking into account of null. Sorry, I'll have to take back my word. So yeah, right, only 4 values are there. And units sold, we have 5 values. Yeah, in all the cases, it simply ignores the blank and null. That's what we conclude as of now. And text, it is not but text, see, the difference is text also it is taking into account. That's the difference. Count ax ignores the blank for the text. It works for text also. Count ax over a table. And yes, count ax, here also I've used the expression. Okay, but the beauty of count ax is it is working for the text value and other numeric values also. Next one is count blank. As the name suggests, find out the total number of blank records in total thing. Okay, so here if I just remove this one, select all, So how many blank values here? 1 and 2, right? So here 2, that one should be, sorry, here I should have gone here. So here for yeah, blank value, right? So yeah, the customer name 2 is there and blank value is 2, and for Baron we have one blank value, and okay, so at that time I took, so basically here 1 and 2 blank values for units sold, and here also 2, right? 1 2 units sold 2, and sales we have 1 2 3 4 5, and why sales it is not showing correctly? Count blank, overall 5, it shows only 5. So for the, let me just check which column I used it. Oh, for sales column only I used it, right? So that's the problem. You can use it for each and every column. Sales column, since I used it, so 1 2 3 4, actually here okay, count blank 1 2 3 4 5, 5 should be there in total. Yeah, record by record it gives, and 5, right? So the 5 records is correct only, and count blank, and finally we have something count blank, and yeah, min-x. Before we go min-x, and we have something else called distinct values. Okay, distinct function also we discussed it already, right? We will just take a look at that one also. Let me just, yeah, already we are here and modeling. So these are all very basic functions, right? You can just try it out. docs.microsoft.com. If you go there, you can find out these functions. So distinct count, you have distinct count blank, right? So count blank. So likewise the distinct blanked with distinct blank, sorry, distinct count. So column name, simply you specify the column name. In our case, what is the column name? The, let's say, no, customer name. We will say customer name. We will see whether it is customer name. We have 11 records in total. Sorry, I feeling sleepy. Okay, so this is what, right? So I was clicking the slicer. So 5. So this is for the distinct values. Okay. So look here, by looking at this itself, we can say these are the distinct values. Though their names were repeated, but if you want to find out the unique names, only 5 names are there. Though Baron name appears more than one time, we don't need all the number of occurrences of Baron. All we need is how many number of people are there, right? So Baron 5 people. So distinct count, no blank, right? So if you have any blank excluding this, you try to experiment all these things, okay? And next one is average function. Average also we have, like is min x, and so whenever you see x followed by the function name or the aggregation thing, right? Function name, that means it's a, you need to evaluate some expression. I have given some example also here, okay? Just give it a try and see of this filtered data set or result set, what is the minimum value? That is what we need to find out. So here in this case I have used the filter function. Filter function will return a table, right? So in this table, for a fright column, we need to find out the minimum value. So that is the syntax here. So average is a very simple one, but if you look at here, but it is not working the way how the Microsoft document they mentioned it. Look here, so average column name, scalar function, you need to use it. Sorry, scalar value, column name, you need to specify the column name. You can use the column name unit sold, it computes the average. But according to them, see if it is a 1, right, it is 1 here, and 20 and NA it counts as a 0, and it counts as blank as a 0, and true as 1. But I tried all these blank, NA and true, but when I put NA it becomes text data. I could not do anything, okay. But with the text data also, if you do the average, it is not working like the way how they mentioned it. See here, what they say is the average, the result is 21 by 2. The result is 21 by 2. We have, see, 20 plus 1, 21. What is average? Add each and every value and then divided by the total number of records. Total number of records. So here how many records are there? 5, right? So 1 plus 20 plus NA plus this divided by 5. But what they say, right? 20 plus 1. So the rest of them, oh, it ignores the rest of them. 20 plus 1 is 21 divided by 2. But when I first of all put NA, it is not allowing me to put NA or true. Okay, that is one problem. But if you have a blank value, it ignores the blank value. Okay. And average A returns the, so what I will do is, right, I will create some tables in my Power BI, or already I have some other files. I don't know where I kept it. I will try to find out and share that, so that simply just by selecting the visuals you can see the corresponding measures and calculated columns. With that you can save time exploring all the things. Okay, so average A is also column name, scalar value, you need to pass it. So here in this case what he says is with the average A function the result is 22 5. So here look, it is considering the true also as 1. Okay, this is also considered true, it considers 1, false as by default 0, you know, right, false is 0 and true is 1. So it considers this also. So 20 plus 1 21 plus 1 22, 22 divided by 5 records, it takes into account of all the 5 records. Okay, with the average function the result is 21 by 2. With the average function, average A function, 22 by 5. But the reason why the denominator is 5 is it considers as 0, and blank value also is considered 0. Okay, so this is 0, this is 0, and it is not a blank according to average A, and this is 1. Okay, and rest of them or you have value here. So in the denominator divide all these values 5, right? So all the number of records 5, numerator 20 plus 1 plus 1 is 2, 22. But when I tried average A, I'm not getting it. Let me just quickly check just average A alone. A unit sold, when I use unit sold here, average A, okay, so here my data set is here, right? So it is yeah, but when I specify ideally according to this guy, the unit sold, see here, if anything blank it should consider 0, right? So it should consider this 0 and 0 and 0, so overall 11, right? But what value we are getting here is average AM, right? Average AM, I'm getting something like yeah, for the, okay, it goes by record because it applied the filter context. Overall 9.29, so we are getting 1 point, so 11.33. How did I get 11.33? So for Baron, what is the unit sold? Because it applies the filter context, you need to look at that way. Though it appears simple, right? Baron, what is the total value? So Baron 10, and 10 plus 0 is, okay, here you have, so 10 and 1 second, I'll just filter it by this. If I simply take Baron here, this is the record, right? So what is the total here? If I select all these things, you can see the sum is 34. 34 divided by 3, if I put, how much am I going to get? 34 divided by 3, 11.33. It is not considering the blank as 0. Sorry, here, right? See, for Baron, here it is 11.33. That means in the denominator, it takes into account of only the, okay, oh, 3, okay. Baron is, so no, 3 values are there, right? All 3 values are there. But fourth one is blank, it's supposed to consider as 0. Ideally, the denominator should be 4 according to this documentation. Probably you can try. I could see that Baswaraj and others, when you sent out the first assignment .pbx file, I was not able to import it in my thing because I was not able to open it because version problem. I think you are using the latest version, and I checked with the Microsoft support site also. They said, you know, there are some bug. Probably you can validate this one also. Okay. So okay, average x, so it's an iterator function. Whenever you see any function value or aggregation function value name followed by x, not only aggregation, anything, okay? So x, right, that means iterator, iterating function, table name expression, first argument supposed to be table name, calculates the average, and you can use some expression like this, and average x, how am I getting it here? Okay, this average function, average x, what am I doing it here? Average x, this is the thing, right? Units sold, sales by customer, sales into units sold. Okay, it is a little bit different, average x. So here it multiplies, let me do one thing. Let's say, let's take only one person, okay, in the interest of time, Baron, right? So Baron is 34 in total, we sold 34 into sales 1874. Let's assume that this is a price, okay? 34 into 1874, how much? 34 into 18714 is 38 into 18714, right? Sorry, 34 into, it's correct only, 34 into 1874, and divided by how many number of records? See, Baron, we have 10, 12, 22 plus 34, right? So 34 units, and then you need to similarly filter all these values. Simple example is, let me do one thing, I'll deselect and select only Baron, and if you see here, right, so this is yeah, this one into this one, so 102320, and here this one into, so this one, you need to add these two things. Two 104, right? So here I'm getting something different. So 34, 1025, average XM. Okay, somehow I got this value. Okay, measures sum x average. But here 34 is the right, so 34, yeah. So here, okay, this one is not, okay, this one is nothing is there because we don't have anything, hence it will simply, it has to ignore this one. Yeah, the whole idea is we will have to check, yeah, 204104, correct. 204,104 divided by 2. If you give something else, you will get it, right? So 102 sales into units sold. So Baron, how I got this one? Average X correct only. So this is the evaluation. It has to evaluate this one. Oh, sorry. Here I'm not supposed to consider Baron, right? If I consider Baron, let me do one thing. Select all and see if I make any mistake here. 102302. So this is the one, and all this put together 20. I'm getting 204,104 only, right? So here we don't have any value, hence it has to ignore this one. And 102 it counts these two things. Oh, it finds out. Okay, first same as the sum x, it applies this row by row. Okay, and then finally it computes the average. Okay, but that's what I have done it. But I just, yeah, let me just check a measure. So yeah, this can give me some idea. Units sold into sales. Yes, 34. Okay. 34 into, basically it takes into account of this one. Okay, 34 into it takes into account of 34. 1 second. It adds all the values. Okay, so 34 into 18714. Correct. 18714. Even after that it is not coming. 34 into 18714. Baron and Chris, right? So here, or we will check for Chris. 10,08411. Average I'm getting 5 here, but here 42,055. 10 into 84, right? So yeah, this is correct. 4284, right? This one comes correctly. 15 into 4812. We will see to that one. 15 into 4812. Sorry. 72180. And how many number of records? That is what we need to see here. For this guy, right? So 15. Larry, we have only one record, right? So 72,000. Yeah, so only one record. Hence it comes, average X comes as 72,000. Only thing is, this guy's number is somewhat increased. Okay, so this guy only one record. 6 into 12, 72. Everything else is correct except this one. Okay, and probably you can also check it out. I'll share this one. I will also check this one. 102052. Okay. Okay, so I will just check it out. See here, 11.3. This one was coming out correctly, right? So only this one was the problem. I will check that one and I will come back to you. Okay. So next one is filter function. Filter function is also very much helpful. Okay, the input to this one is a table. Okay, the input to this is a table, and then you can use a filter condition. Same as this one, right? But here it's not expression. You can use some filter condition. We can say that is also an expression only, right? So filter, the product name, and this one. So what is the value returned by filter function? It return a table. It results in a table. Okay. Supposing you wanted to, for example, here, right? In this case, instead of using a table name, here expression, right? Okay, we have something called calculate function. The calculate function, we can use filter function more frequently, because to change the filter context. Okay, to modify the filter context, you can use a filter function. Okay, and also if you want to filter based on some business logic, for example this kind of filter, right, you can and store it in a table like this. Okay, and next one is calculate. Calculate is a very powerful function, right? It evaluates an expression, and you can use filter also here, filter 1 and filter 2. Okay, based on the first it evaluates the first it filters the data based on this condition, and then it applies the expression. That is how it works. Okay, so there are two parts here. One is aggregation, expression which is mandatory, and the filter. Okay, so what can we do with calculate? It can modify the filter context of the expression, like sumx. Using sumx function also we are able to modify the filter context, right? How did we use all function? When we use the all function, we were able to modify the filter context of the expression, because we wanted to retain the overall total as it is. It should not be filtered based on the customer name. That is what you remember I showed you. It can modify the filter context of the expression, and also it can override the already existing filter context with the new one that's been specified in the calculate function. So in the calculate function, you are using a filter. Using that, you can modify the existing filter context. Okay, there are two ways you can modify the filter context. So one, using the filter condition, and you can also use all function, using which also you can modify it. If the filter context does not exist, it will add new filter context according to the filter condition specified. Okay, if that is not there, according to the filter condition, that's what the same thing. Okay, the whatever the filter condition you mentioned, for example you want to filter based on a specific country, the filter context will get changed as per this. So we already seen what is all function returns all the rows in the table, and it is very much helpful in terms of disregarding or ignoring all the filters on this table, the entire table. Okay, even if you apply any filter, for example external filter I showed you, right? I used a slicer. With that slicer, when I try to change the when I filter the value in your table, but still the total value was the total value remained constant, right? It did not change it. And next we have something called all selected. This is also like all function. It is a kind of, it's a family of all functions. It remove context from filters from columns and rows in the current query, while retaining all the other context filters or explicit filters. It remove filters from rows and columns in the current query, right? And it retain all other context filters or explicit filters. Like you are using a slicer, when you apply a external filter using a slicer, that one will be applicable, but it will remove the filters from your columns and rows in the current query. So what do you mean by rows and columns? Filter query. What is your understanding? I showed you, right? So here in the sumx example I showed you. In this case, say total sales one, right? So here when I use the external filter, customer name, right? This is the external filter. Though when I use the external filter, the total sales one was remained as it is. Look here, 36046. Okay, let me just clear this one. Yeah, 360466, right? Even if you change the filter context here with the external filter, when you apply the external filter on your table, it is doing that. But even so, even see in the case of all selected, whatever the external filters that you selected, that one will be applicable, whereas the row and column filter will not be applied. We will see we have two more functions like all functions. Okay, using all selected and all except. I have another meeting, okay, tonight by 11 p.m. Okay, so what I will do is we will continue all except and all selected in the next session. Tomorrow is pretty hectic for me. Okay, we have some design review call is there. So what we will do is, instead of tomorrow, this week alone, okay, slight change. Day after tomorrow we'll have a session, okay. But we will start by 9 p.m. so that we can spend reasonably, right, 1.5 to 2 hours time, okay. We'll try to cover as much as possible, and the next session will cover time intelligence function. That is very, very important. And also we will look at the top n function, summarize function, group by function. Those are all the table related functions. And we will also see with summarize function how we can create virtual table, those kind of things, right. We'll try to cover everything on this Friday, so that next we will move on to visualization part, okay. But the all selected and all except are also equally important, okay. And along with this we will see time business function and other table manipulation related functions also. Few we will look at it. And this Saturday or Sunday, yeah, instead of Saturday, right, we'll leave one day gap. And because there are some recruitments are going on, okay. So for that I have to be there in the call. And Sunday we will continue the visualization part. So visualization also, a lot of visualizations are there, okay. So we will see, we'll take a solid 4 to 5 days, all right, 3 to at least 2 to 3 days. I think that is sufficient. We'll see, right, how much where I can cover it, okay. And once we are done with that, we are all set. We are and as part of the visualization itself, we'll show you how to use the workspaces, and how to create data flows, and how to enable security and other features, okay, in the BI space. And also we do the refreshing also side by side, okay. It's all once we go to the Power BI service, right, so cloud, we can explore all the things side by side. We'll finish it off, okay. Maximum we'll try to finish it off the next week. That is the plan, right. And we will have a separate session, that is advanced topics, okay, like the composite table, other thing, okay. So with that itself we'll start so after followed by the next week, what we will do is we will have some test and some quizzes. I have close to 50 quizzes are there. I will share it to you all, right. So you need to take up those quizzes regarding DAX itself, okay. And also we have close to 400 interview. I don't know how many of you have gone through my interview questions. Whenever time permits, please go to my website and spend time in going through the interview questions, okay. And what we will do is we are yet to, yeah, so I will send out the this one also. What is that? Assignments, okay. Any questions so far? See, if you go to courses, and you will find interview Q&A, okay. So you will find topic wise quizzes and interview questions, right. And start 50 questions are there for DAX itself, okay. And the Power Query and the interview questions are additional Power Map and Power Query, Power Pivot, and all these things are there, okay. And Power Pivot, I don't know how many. I think they are yet to update this one. Let us see. Yeah, it is okay. You need to log in with my credentials. You just go and take a look at those. If you select any one of them, Power Pivot also, you can take a look at this. And even if you don't know the quizzes right answers for that, when you submit, when you do the final submit, it will give you the solutions with answers also. And here the Power Pivot. So here also I think we have some questions. Yeah, 7 questions are there. We'll try to include some more questions. Fine. Okay. Since you don't have any questions, I'm going to end the session. And this week alone, this arrangement. Okay. Next week we'll have continuous sessions. Okay. And this day after tomorrow. Tomorrow no session. Day after tomorrow will continue. We'll start by 9 p.m. Okay. And this Sunday will continue. Next week, as usual, Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll try to continue that way. Okay. Fine. Okay. Good night.